Hello, and welcome to the second annual Kat Scrappiness Winter Retreat. I'm Shannon Lee Smith, part of the Kat Scrappiness creative crew, and I'm thrilled to guide you through today's event. We're here to spark your creativity with fun, last-minute holiday papercraft ideas. Get ready to dive into projects like cards, tags, paper ornaments, and gift card holders. Everything you need to add a personal touch to your holiday projects. Here's the plan for today. We have 2 sessions. The first starts at 10 a.m., the second at 2 p.m. Both are U.S. Pacific Standard Time. Throughout the retreat, we'll be giving away mystery bundles filled with Kat Scrappiness craft supplies. To enter the giveaway, complete the entry form linked in the description box that's below the video and pinned in the chat. It should be at the top of the live chat. Like this video, give us a thumbs up to show your support for Kat Scrappiness. Subscribe to the Kat Scrappiness YouTube channel and subscribe to the Kat Scrappiness newsletter. That link is located also in the description box below. We'll announce winners live in the chat at the end of each session. You must be present to claim your prize. For our replay viewers, don't worry, there's a special giveaway just for you. On December 21st, we'll randomly select one winner from all the completed entries and notify them via email. Throughout the event, our creative crew will be active in the live chat to answer any questions you may have. We're here to spark your creativity and make this retreat fun and inspiring. Let's make this day full of inspiration, crafting, and festive fun. Thanks for joining us, and let's get started. Today, my project is a 5x7 card. This 5x7 card has a lot going on in the center, but since I have this large border here, it lends itself to a more clean and simple look. That's what I was going for. To create this project, we will start out with a 5x7 piece of gold mirror cardstock, a 6 5/8 by 4 5/8 piece of white cardstock, a 3 3/8 by 5 3/8 piece of gold mirror cardstock, a 3 1/8 by 5 1/8 piece of white cardstock, a 3 by 5 inch piece of aqua cardstock, and here I have a scrap of gold mirror cardstock, also a scrap of white paper, white cardstock, and navy cardstock. This is what I will use to create the sentiment. The gold mirror is the first layer, the white is the second matte layer, and then I stamp my sentiment on the navy cardstock. I'll show you how I trim that up to fit the sentiment strip when we get to that. To start out, we will use the 3 by 5 inch piece of aqua cardstock and a stencil. The stencil is called Christmas Sweater. All of the products that I'll be using today are Kat Scrappiness products, by the way. And let's see if we can see this. Okay, it has some snowflake designs and some reindeer, and it's in several different rows. What I'm going to do is, instead of just stenciling on my cardstock, I'm going to emboss it using my die cutting machine. Let me grab that. Okay, so we have adapter plate D, the embossing mat E, the paper cardstock, the stencil. No, I take that back. It's embossing mat, fun foam, paper, then stencil. Let's make sure we've got that lined up straight. Try it again. Run it through my die cutting machine. And now we have that image is impressed into my cardstock. That's going to help when we do some ink blending and bring out that stenciled image, make it pop. Next, using some distressed dye inks, I am going to, with the color Chip Sapphire, ink up my blending brush, and I'm going to blend very heavily around the outer edge and try to get that kind of glow effect, leaving the center of the cardstock light, but around the perimeter will be dark. And as I bring my blending brush over the embossed cardstock, it's going to make that image stand out and show that embossed detail from the stencil. Now that I've used up most of the ink on my blending brush, I'm going to go over the center just so I can bring out that embossed detail. There's very little ink left on my blending brush, but it's still giving us that nice highlight glow in the middle. And next we'll come in with some black soot distress ink, and I'm going to just come around the edge. I'm not going to come in as far as I did with the Chip Sapphire. And I'm going to set that aside to dry. Next, I have a star ornament that I've cut from the Christmas shaker ornaments. I'm using just the solid star. I also, from Gold Mirror cardstock, cut one of the toppers. But if you wanted, you could make this a shaker card or a shaker ornament and cut the frame from the outline with the stitch detail, cut a solid piece of acetate from the solid star, and cut a backer piece from your choice of cardstock to make a shaker tag. But today we're just going to make a solid ornament. I'm going to start with Wild Honey Distress Ink. And similar to what I did with that embossed panel, I'm going to just come in from the outside with this darker colored ink and create some depth just around the outside of the ornament. Whoops. And next is scattered straw. And again, I'm going to switch my little mat around here so I don't pick up that dark ink. Ink up my blending brush, come in from the outside, but I'm going to come in further. I want to leave that nice highlight in the center. So just coming in from the outside, but coming in farther than I did with the Wild Honey. And then when I'm done, I'll take the remaining ink and just go over the entire thing. So it has a nice glow in the center. Now I have some die cut pieces from the Christmas foliage die set. excuse me, I am using the berry branch and the little pine sprigs and one leafy branch. One of the pine sprigs I've already gone ahead and ink blended. And we're going to start with this leafy branch and twisted citron ink. And with a small blending brush, tap off in the lid. I'm going to ink from the outside, and again, just coming in from the edges, leaving the center very light or white, bringing that ink from the edges. And it helps to tilt your blending brush to the side and just try to get the side of those bristles. And then we'll ink up the center, the branch, with the heavier ink. And then go over it lightly with the remaining ink on the blending brush. I think we need more on this one here. Maybe give it a little more detail by inking up the edge of the bristles and coming in and just try to grab that stitch detail in the center. There we go. And next is Rustic Wilderness. Whoopsie. Ink up my blending brush, tap that off, and we're going to come in from the underside of these leaves. Just give it some dark ink on the underside. Really make that lighter ink stand out. On the top leaf, I'll come in from both sides. And then darken up that center branch. Maybe darken up that stitch detail also. Oops. Set that aside. Now we're going to use Evergreen Bough. Ink up my brush, tap it off in the lid, take some of that residual ink or the excess ink, and I'm just going to cover the entire branch. And then ink up the edges of my brush, come in through the center with my brush at an angle. Give that heavier ink in the center, leaving the edges of the branch or the little bristly things much lighter than the center. Okay. And then back to Rustic Wilderness. And we're going to ink up the edge of the brush, tap that off, and then come in the center and just darken up that center ink. Leave those ends of the little bristly ends light. Now with some lumberjack plaid, I'm going to ink up my blending brush, and we're going to add some color to the berries. Try to come in from the outside And it's okay if the red gets on the rest of the branch. We're going to cover that up with some brown ink. So put the dark ink on the outer edges, just like we did with several of the other ink blending items. Now go over it lightly with the remaining ink on the brush, so there's a nice highlight on those berries. Next is walnut stain, and I'm going to ink up my brush. Actually, we want the edge of the bristles, and we're going to do some ink blending on the branch, leaving those berries red. Just come up to the end of that branch, making sure also to get the edges of the die cut with the ink. Flip that around. The remaining end of the branch. There we go. I'm going to set that aside to dry, clean this up, and then we will assemble our card. Next, we're going to stamp our sentiment on the strip of navy cardstock, and this is from the Reindeer Games Sentiments, and the sentiment reads Happy Holidays. So I'm going to ink that up. Well, first I'm going to prep my paper with some anti-static powder tool and ink up the stamp with some white pigment ink. Stamp that down, get some pressure, and we're going to stamp it one more time for good measure. Make sure that sentiment really stands out. That looks good, I think. And let me get my white embossing powder. Tap that off. Coat it one more time. Make sure I didn't miss any spots. Bring in my heat tool. And I like to heat it from the underside. A little trick that I learned from Jennifer McGuire is while the embossing powder is still hot, you can add a little bit more powder and heat it a second time. Now we're going to layer up our sentiment strip, oops, a little bit of glue, onto a piece of white cardstock to mat the strip. And what I do is I'll line it up with the top and the left-hand side, give them equal borders on those two sides, Then bring in my paper trimmer. Make sure that's secure. And just trim off some of the excess. That looks good. And do the same for the outer edge. Then repeat that process with the gold cardstock. Just adding adhesive to the back. Line it up with the top and left hand side. Oops, got a little bit of glue sticking out there. Give it a little border. Cut off the excess. Just leaving a somewhat equal perimeter or equal mat around the perimeter of the sentiment. Set that aside. And next we're going to add our foliage to the star. I'm going to trim off a little bit of this stem. Actually, I'm going to grab that from the bottom so I can put adhesive just at the top portion here. And I'm going to stick that right up to where the topper will overlap that branch. And do the same for the leafy branch. Just adding adhesive to the stem. And then the two pine sprigs. Oops. There we go. Then add our topper right over the foliage like that. Line it up with the edge of the star die cut. Oops. Give that a little pinch. Make sure it's grabbed hold. Then I have a piece of red and white twine, or baker's twine. Is that baker's twine? I think that's what it's called. And loop that from the back. Open up that loop and pull those strings through it. And then we're going to add it to our ink blended card here. Actually, what I'm going to do before that is I'm going to tie with another piece of baker's twine. I'm going to tie a bow. I think we'll do it around the topper. Tie it in a knot. Whoops. Doing. And tie it in a bow. Bring Bring those tails down. I'm going to wrap on the ink blended panel. I've put some double-sided adhesive, foam adhesive. I'll remove those papers. I'm going to cut some of this excess string. I don't need that much. There we go. Add some glue to my... Give me a little bit of wiggle room when I'm adding it to the panel. And add some glue for the string to stick to. Come in from the front so I can line up. Oops, I got glue on my fingers now. So I can line up where I want it and then pull those strings back. I'm gonna try to tuck them in between the foam strips the best I can. They don't want to go. There, we'll pull this one over here. Make sure it's stuck to the glue. Okay, now I've already added the white mat to the gold mirror cardstock. I'm going to turn this sideways and line that up so there's a small border of white around that blue cardstock. And press that down. There we go. And then for our card base, oops, I'm going to add glue to the back of the mirror card. I'm going to stand up for this one. Try to get that lined up with an equal border. That looks good. Give it a press. Now, if you want, you can adhere the star to the card. I like to let it just kind of swing. And finally, add some glue to our sentiment strip. And adhere that to the card base. There we go. I want to thank you so much for being here at the second annual Kat Scrappiness Winter Retreat. There are 6 more presentations following. Remember, the second session starts at 2 p.m. Pacific time. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and also complete an entry form for your chance to win a mystery bundle of craft supplies. Thanks for watching. Whoops, let me give you a better view here. There we go. Bye for now.
Hi everyone, welcome to Kat Scrappiness Winter Retreat. My name is Julie Patton and I am going to be working with you to make this tag. It can also be used as a little decoration for your tree, which I did do. I have a little Grinch tree that I put up this year, and I actually made a bunch of little tag ornaments and put it on there. So great little way to you know, to decorate your small tree if you have a, you know, maybe a tree in your office or whatever. But I enjoyed it. And I also have put these on, you know, several of my gifts. I love this little Grinch. I've used him on cards, tags, so many things. So today we're going to go ahead and make this tag, and I've got everything that I need cut out. And I actually use I do have the dies for it, and I do recommend it. I use the dies for the Merry Grinchmas, but I tend to use my brother's Scan and Cut to cut most of my stuff up. So just wanted to put that little disclaimer out there. Again, I would recommend the dies, not only for cutting out, you know, your stamped images, but also cutting out your sentiments. It has the dies in there for that as well. So, and I am hooked on cutting out my dies with the, or cutting out my sentiments with the dies. So anyways, let's go ahead and get started. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment and I will try and respond. But otherwise, let's get to it. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and set everything up so that we can go ahead and put our tag together. I've done some inking on this, and the three colors that I've used are Tumbled Oxide, Broken China, and Salty Ocean. And you just want to go over it quickly. You know, again, I'm not very careful with this. I just want some color on the page. So we're going to go ahead and move this off to the side and get this off to the side. And if my arm gets in the way, I apologize, but we're going to go ahead and try and do this without me getting in the way. So again, I want to keep my darkest to the outside because I'm almost leaning towards making this look like a snow globe. You know, where everything on the inside is going to be a little bit lighter, but the outside is going to be a little bit darker. Again, keeping the darkest only at the edge. And I know it's not really a snow globe, but it's kind of going to look like it may be. And you could certainly make it one. You could make it a shaker or do whatever you want with it. And then my last color, that was Broken China. My last color is going to be Salty Ocean, which is just going to be on the very edge. And you see that's going to deepen it. Okay. Going to go ahead and move these off to the side. Clean up this little mess. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take our snow. I like to go ahead and give snow a little bit of dimension. So I usually, sometimes I'll use the BGs, sometimes I use the BVs. Today we're going to go ahead and use the BVs. But we're going to cut this down to the same size as the snow as well. So let me do that real quick. Okay. All right, so we're going to take our BVs. And we're just going to go ahead and give that a little bit of color. And I'm using 3 different shades. The 00, BV000, and the quadruple 0. And I'm just giving it little snowbanks. I'm going to take our mid-tone, which is the 000, and we're going to give it a little bit of a highlight. Not much. I just want a little bit, and I'm going to blend that out with the lowest color again, which is the 400. Okay. We'll put this on our tag. Cover up all that dirty that I got. Okay. All right, so we're going to go ahead and color our tree. And for that, we're going to use a couple different colors. I'm using YG21, YG23, 25, 67, and YG17. And I start usually typically with my darkest color. Now I'm going to go to YG17. Just bring it up a little bit. I don't want to go all the way up because I want to leave a little bit of white. And I'm not being overly cautious here because, you know, trees have branches and very seldom do they look, you know, uniformed. You don't want uniformed, in fact. Going to YG25. And then 21. We're going to skip the 23 on this one. And on the base of the tree, we're going to go ahead and use 29 and E29 and E25. Now, I do not like the edges white, so I take my marker and I just outline just to get rid of the white. So you don't see any of that. That's not necessary. That's just a me thing. Okay. All right. So we've got our tree done. Now we're going to go ahead and move to Grinch. Which I gotta tell you, this Grinch is the easiest Grinch to color, at least my opinion. For the green on him, and when I say green, all the green on him, I use YG 17, 25, 23, and 21. So the darkest is going to be my my 17, which I'm going to use very sparingly. I just want a little bit on the face. And then a little bit on here on his legs. That's going to be the darkest area. We'll do a hair on his hands too. Now we're going to go to 25. We're going to go in a little bit on that. Just kind of going over what you just did, and then go in a little bit more. Same with the legs. And then the hands. And his little neck. Not much of a neck, but he does have a little bit. And then we're going to go a little bit further in. Now I want to leave the center of his face because I want to go over that with the YG21. And we're going to blend. That's going to be like the highlight of his face. And then we're going to do the same thing down here. Okay, his jacket, we're going to color red like Santa's. And I'm going to use R39, 27, 29, and 27. The 39 is going to be my darkest. I'm going to do shoes in the red as well. And then we're going to give it a little bit of a R39. Just for a little bit of shading. And then the same with his hat. There's not a whole lot of area to work with on the hat, so I just use the two colors. And then the ornament, we're going to go ahead and make the ornament red and gold. for the gold, we're going to go ahead and use Y26. And he is colored. So now, let me clear out my mess. And now we're going to go ahead and put this together. All right, so I pre-colored one of these already. I'm going to go ahead and do the other one. And I'm using YG01, YG21, or YG13. I'm sorry, guys. 21, 23, and 25. And then 67. So this is going to be my lowest, lightest color. And these are so quick and easy to do. You really can't mess them up, which is good. And as you can see, I'm just kind of building color here. And then to tone that down just a little bit, I'm going to go back to my YG23. It tones down the darkest color just a little bit, so it kind of blends a little bit better. Okay, and let's go ahead and color these little peppermints. I absolutely love them. They are so cute and add such a, you know, they give it such, I don't know, a Christmas feeling. I love peppermint. Not a fan of eating peppermint, but I love seeing peppermint on Christmas decor. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put our tree on. But for the tree, we're going to ground this. So what I do is I take the VVs again, and I take my darkest color, and I'm going to go ahead and just kind of outline right underneath it and go out a little bit. And this is going to ground the tree so it looks like the tree isn't floating on top of the snow, but kind of buried a little bit. And then we're going to blend this out. There, now it kind of looks like it might be buried in the sand and not sitting on top of it. I don't know if anybody else is hooked on the Grinch right now, but me, everything's got to be the Grinch this year. I don't know what it is, but I'm loving the Grinch. Okay, we're going to go ahead and bring over our Misty. Move that out of the way for right now. And we're going to go ahead and stamp the Merry Grinchmas. I do have it lined up in my Misty already. I'm going to give it a little static. See if I can not get embossing powder everywhere, which is a challenge for me. Okay, I apologize, it's going to get loud when I turn on this embossing gun. It doesn't take long to go ahead and heat it up, so you don't want to keep it, on there too long. And we're going to go ahead and get our dye out of there. I'm going to cut this down. Bring this back over. Merry Grinchmas is going to go right here. We'll put our little peppermint up there. I'm going to give a little bit of white detail. I just do a little bit right down the center. Okay. Just be careful with that wet or the white because it is still wet and it does smudge very easily. So. And we're going to give it a little bit of snow. Lastly, let's not forget to color his buttons. All right, guys, here is the finished. I'm gonna go ahead and tie a little twine on it. Now, typically what I do is I will do a hole. I haven't done it yet, but I will do a hole and, you know, thread this through to hang on the tree or on your package or wherever you want to put it. But for now, for the sake of video, we're going to go ahead and just do that. And there you go. There are the two finished ornaments, tags, whatever you want to. On the very back of them, you can go ahead and put to and from, you know, so you can put on a Christmas present. But, and then let me show you the products that we used. The star of the show, of course, is Merry Grinchmas. We love him with the matching coordinating dice. He is my favorite. If you check out my Instagram, you will see a lot of cards using him and using all different ones. So he's a favorite. I did use the, I guess, the leaf branches. I'm not sure what you call those, but I did use these from the set. This is the wooden Christmas bell set, which I've also got a Instagram post using the entire set as it's supposed to be. The layered Christmas baubles, the little peppermint, but the candy canes. There is so much in this set, guys. It's one of my favorites for embellishing. Like I said, you've got candy canes, you've got the stars, you've got, you know, the little, I don't know if that's the Star of Bethlehem. I don't know. I'm not sure what the extra star is, but it's cute. You've got little ornaments on here and candy canes going both ways. So yeah, a lot on that. And then this set here, the little berries, which I'm sorry I didn't put on that, but little berries, those came from this set. And again, this has so many different things, you know, that you can use. And then to get this, I just use my stash. If you've got, I know Kat Scrappiness sells these. You can use these. You can make these into shaker ornaments. You can make them into, you know, little snow globes. A lot you can do with those dies. And again, Kat Scrappiness has those on her website. Not these exact ones, but very similar. So check that out. I want to thank you for following along and joining us for Kat Scrappiness Winter Retreat 2024. I had a lot of fun, you know, making these and sharing it with you. And again, if you have any questions, let me know, and I will try and answer those for you. But have a Merry Christmas. Just remember, take it slow. Remember, you know, why we celebrate the season. All right. Have a great night. Bye.
Hi friends, this is Walter Zemrock. Thanks for joining us in the Kat Scrappiness 2024 Winter Retreat. Today we're going to be building these really cute stocking ornaments. We'll be using the Build-A-Stocking craft dies, the Merry Critter stamps, and coordinating dies. Aren't they just adorable? As well as the Bright Christmas 2 cardstock. These are really easy to make, and I'm sure you're going to love them. You're going to start by selecting the patterned paper you'd like to use, and then running it through your die cut machine with the main stocking die. Next, you'll cut the other part of the stocking using the second die, and I happen to be using the reverse side of the piece of paper that I used for the first part of the stocking. But if you're using another piece, you just simply swap out the paper and cut that next piece. Now you'll take a piece of white cardstock, I'm just using a scrap, and running it through with the main stocking die to cut out the white part up at the top of the stocking that's typically made out of white fabric. Grab your detail scissors and cut that little white tab off of the top. There's no need for that since we have the tab on the main part of the stocking. Now you can see that it's going to fit right up there at the top of the main body part of the stocking, and that the other piece will fit right at the bottom of the white and over the rest of the stocking, making it complete. I like to make sure that the construction of the ornament is really sturdy. So I take either some chipboard or some cardboard and run it through my die machine with the main stocking component die to get the shape that I can glue everything onto. It just makes it more sturdy and makes sure that it's not going to be able to get bent very easily. You can then just pop it right out, and once you get the stocking shape out, you can get rid of the little extra piece up in the tab, and you'll be all set. You can see that your paper's going to fit right over it, and it's a good fit. It's time to assemble the stockings. I start by taking some double-sided adhesive tape and putting it onto the piece of chipboard. I also like to add some craft glue as well. The point in doing this is the two of them together will create a really good bond with the paper, but by adding the craft glue, it actually gives you a little bit of wiggle room before the glue sets that will allow you to shift it and line it up to be precise. You wouldn't get that with just the double-sided tape because that pretty much just adheres right away. So the glue is just kind of a fail-safe. Take your piece of paper for the main part of the stocking and go ahead and just line that up and press it down into place. It's as simple as that. And with the glue, it gives you that extra wiggle room. I like to run my fingers over just to make sure that it's sticking down across the entire piece of the stocking. It also helps to clear up any glue that might be coming out of the sides. Now we're going to do the same thing with the next part of the stocking and the top of the stocking. Get the double-sided tape onto each. And once that's done, you can go ahead and grab your glue gun or glue bottle. I use the precision glue press, which makes it a lot easier. Get that glue on. Set that into place at the top of the stocking. Once again, it's a perfect fit. And then you can grab your glue and add it to the back of your next piece of the stocking. The amount of glue you put on is really up to you. I like to make sure that there's enough so that I can move it around and wiggle it as needed. That's lined up. Press it down. How cute is that? That is a really cute stocking. And what's nice about this paper pad is you can use any of the papers, as most of them will coordinate with each other. Brush off any glue and you're done. I showed you how to make one stocking. I actually am making 4, one for each of my friend's children. The next part is I cut out a snowflake to embellish the stocking with, and I cut it out of some white glitter cardstock. Put some glue onto the back of it and glue it down into place. I'm also using the pearl, the opal pearls that are from Kat Scrappiness, and putting one in the center of each of the snowflakes. Just put a dab of glue, pick up your pearl, and stick it right down. It's that easy. Now time for some stamping. I chose the 4 characters that I wanted to stamp out, and then I have the sleigh. You're going to stamp the sleigh 4 times, one for each of the characters. I put them onto my stamping platform and have my paper there as well. I'm using white cardstock, 65 pound, inking up my stamps, and then going ahead and stamping them. Once they're all loaded up with ink, I stamped them, and they came out with a really good impression. But I did decide to go over them one more time with some more black ink, just to make sure that it's a really nice deep black impression that I get. Once these are done, I stamp the rest of the sleighs. It's now time to color. I'm going to use the Spectrum Noir Tri-Blends since they have the 3 shades in each marker. Just makes it easier to coordinate. You're going to color each of the characters and the 4 sleighs. I'm going to play some music while I continue coloring. I die cut each of the characters in the 4 sleighs once I was done coloring them. Then I also cut them the same shapes out of some chipboard, again, to just go ahead and make them a little bit more sturdy. Really easy to go ahead and construct your characters and sleighs. I'm just using some craft glue, put it down onto the chipboard piece, and then glue my colored piece over the top. Once that's adhered together, I go ahead and take a sleigh, put some glue on the back of the character, and then adhere it down on top of the sleigh. Really easy. I do this for each of the 4 characters. And they'll be ready for the next step. With the sleighs assembled, we can now get them ready to put onto each of the stockings. I use some double-sided foam tape strips, and I adhere them down at the base of the sleigh. I use 2 just to make sure that they'll be nice and secure. I also, once I take the paper off of each of the strips, I put just a little bit of craft glue on top of it, again, just to make sure that it has a nice strong bond to the stocking. Doesn't take much, just a little. Then grab your stocking, line up your sleigh, and press it down. The nice thing about using the glue is, once again, it gives you that little bit of wiggle room if you're not happy with your placement. But I think it looks great, and it's really cute. I want to personalize each of them, so I grab a red glitter gel pen, And I write their names at the top, just going across. This first one is for my buddy Jackson, so I go ahead and write his name. And then I'll do the same on the remaining 3. The last step is to add some embellishments onto each of them. I took 3 of the iridescent pearls for each of the stockings, and I'm just putting some dots of craft glue up in the top area where their names are written. And once I have the glue in place, I grab my little picker-up tool and pick up each of those pearls and lay them into place. It adds just a nice little touch that also helps it coordinate to the pearl that's in the center of the snowflake. You can use any kind of embellishment that you would like. I happen to go with the pearls since I was already using them. But you could use sequins, you could die cut some small snowflakes. You could, really use whatever you'd like. I finished them off by cutting a piece of red yarn and tying it around the tab at the top of each stocking. Aren't they just adorable? I think they came out really nice. I think you'll agree that they're really easy to make, and it would be a great craft for you to even do with your kids and allow them to make their own. Thanks for joining me today on this portion of the Kat Scrappiness 2024 Winter Retreat.
Hi friends, Jamie here with J. Design. I am a creative influencer for Kat Scrappiness, and welcome to the 2024 Winter Retreat. I am really excited to be part of this amazing event, and I hope you enjoy it. Today we are going to be making a fun fold, slider, card. You can call it what you want. It's pretty cool. We're going to be using the Bright Christmas 2, the Christmas lantern and die, the add-on and its die, and the tag essentials die set. So let's get started. I have cut most of my pieces because y'all don't want to sit and watch me cut paper. So we're going to start with our card base, and it is 4.5 by 11, scored at 2, flipped, and then scored at 3.5. I just have the little score buddy, so I can't do the long dimensions. So I score at 2, I flip it, score at 3.5. So that is our card base. Our inside layer is 3 3/4 by, my fingers don't work today, by 5, scored at a 1/2 inch. And then we've got our inner layer, which you can put however wide you like your borders. I do about 1/8 of an inch. So my inner layer is 3.5 by 4 1/4. All of these dimensions and scoring dimensions will be in the description box below, as well as links to find the products on the Kat Scrappiness website. Then I use the tag essentials to make this little tag, and you'll see later where this comes in. All right, let's get started. We're going to start with some stamping and some coloring real quick. I have this little pine spray from the stamp set. Let me grab my little stamp positioner. This won't take too long. I have the other parts already colored because that can be kind of boring just to sit and watch someone color. So there is an amazing lineup of designers today for you. And what a cool, that took up my whole thing. Cool event. There we go. All right. So I am using the Memento Tuxedo Black, which is what I have used for years. So I don't change it up. It works with my Copics. And so that's what I'm going to stick with. Ooh, we got a pretty good stamp right there. Let me clean this off. Sorry about that. That's a little squeaky. All right, I'll set that aside. Let's get this colored up. Running out of space. I think I forgot. I need a pine cone color. We'll go with 34. So I'm going to start, and this isn't going to be like super precise. You know, I'm not going to, it's just kind of fill in where the little pine pieces are. And we'll come back. We'll give it a little bit of shading. I love this set. And this lantern set comes with a Halloween edition add-on too, as well as the Christmas add-on. And both the add-ons, besides having like the little lantern add-on pieces, has some great sentiments as well. I am also using the Christmas Simple Sentiments set. That is a set of a whole bunch of sentiments. It's all one stamp, and then it's one die, and it cuts out all these little pieces of your sentiment. Pretty genius, I think. And then I just store them in a little tray, and I have all my little sentiments that I can go through and pick out as needed. Got our little berries. And you could go back through with the little berries and add, some stickles or the glaze pen or the glitter pen, just to make it stand out. All right, let me grab a little bit darker brown, just to kind of set off those pine cone pieces a little bit. And I'm just dotting here and there. It's kind of one of my favorite, I don't know if it's really a technique. I call it a technique. Just to get some color in to blend. All right, that doesn't look too bad. Let me grab my die. Usually I have a little jig that I use for my die cuts, where if I cut it out before previously, I save the cutout and I lay it over the top so I can get it lined up. It's easier to see, when it's already cut out, where you're lining it up. Especially like with the smaller dies, like with the quokkas. I've got a little jig of all of the dies so that it makes it a little bit easier to get a good outline. Just run this through real quick. It's a little off. So now what we're just talking about with the jig is I would save this part so that next time I do this one, I can lay it over the image and see exactly where it needs to go. All right, so I will trim off this and put it in my envelope with the rest of my die cuts for that set. All right, let's start assembling this fun card. We're going to start with, this is our little top layer up here. And there's a secret. There's not a secret. There's a surprise. Let's call it a surprise coming. And you could use a closure a bunch of different ways. You could use a magnet. You could use a Velcro dot. You could just leave it. You could figure out how to tie it with a ribbon. You could do a belly band. But we are actually going to pull out our envelope punch board. See, I just got it. So I'm bringing back the punch board. Let me give this a little smush just to get my glue distributed in there. All right, so let me grab my punch board. Sorry for the noise. And we are going to line up at 1 inch here on the punch board. Punch. We are going to flip, line up at 1 inch, and punch. And I do it after I put my layer on because it's hard to line them up to make sure that you got them exactly even. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to take some tear tape and just run this right down this edge. And I try to go as close to the edge as I can. You could use liquid adhesive if you wanted. I might put some over the top just to make sure I have a nice strong bond there. And then we'll do this side here. Make sure that's nice and adhered. Should remember not to cut my fingernails before doing a tutorial. There we go. And we're going to add just a little bit of liquid adhesive down here. It gives me just a little bit of wiggle room and a little extra security. Don't want this coming apart. All right, we're just going to fold this up. Here. All right, we're going to take this is our little slider piece, and this is kind of part of the surprise, but we're going to put our layer on here first. All right, let me get that smushed down. This would work for any season, for birthdays, all sorts of things. All right, then we're going to put our tape right along the top here, but we're not going to take off the liner yet. Then this is going to slide right down in here, except for I probably got my tape. So you know what? We're just going to trim. This is real life, people. I don't edit out my goofs only because I think it's important for people to see how to fix a mistake. So we're just going to trim this down just a smidge. No big deal. No harm, no foul. And now it should fit right in. See, there we go. We just took off a tiny little bit from there. And we're going to push this so that our top of our slider lines up with the score line here. And just kind of center it in your card. So here's my score line, here's the top. And then now we are going to remove the liner. Maybe. There we go. Add some liquid adhesive. I love this paper pack from Kat Scrappiness. The colors are amazing. I like traditional colors, but I like to be able to throw in a few little extra things as well. So there is our slider. We'll let that dry. And I'm going to add a little band right at the top, just to bring in some of these other colors. And give kind of a little peekaboo. Where's my... There we go. So then that's our slider. Maybe. There we go. You got to kind of work it back and forth. There we go. To get it to go. And then let's decorate. I've got my my lantern, and then I cut off the top part of it because it was just a little too tall. And then I die cut 2 other layers. They're not colored or anything, for both pieces. So I have 3 layers of cardstock to give it some body and some dimension. You could pop this up if you wanted to. I'm gonna put that. We've got our bow. And I added the polka dots to match my paper. So let's get this glued down. And I'm just going to kind of center it over my little flaps there. And then let's add our bow to the top of our lantern. And I added some stickles to the top here on my bow so that it would kind of stand out a little bit. Like I said, you could pop this up on foam dots. All right, so there is our slider card, and here is the surprise. So you take and you tuck this inside, and that is your closure. So then you unpop that and open, and there is your slider. You could easily put some little glue dots, little rubber dots on the back, and put a gift card in there. I had, that has now disappeared. Where did I put the tag? But you could attach the tag and slide in there. Oh, here it is. So I use the tag essentials to cut a tag, and you could slide a tag in there and decorate it. You could put a photo on there, however you wanted to do that for maybe an ornament or a keepsake. But here is our little finished fun fold slider card with our lantern and the pine spray, and then it just tucks right inside there. But you could easily do a belly band, tie a ribbon around there. But I love the dimension on here. I got to add my little sentiment. And this is from the Simple Sentiments. So we got Happy Holidays. And let's see if we can find another fun one. So these are all the sentiments that come in here. I'm going to put, let's go with this one. It says no peeking, which is kind of silly. And then you could add, some enamel dots or however you wanted to dress this up. But thank you for joining me, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of the retreat and have a wonderful holiday season. Thank you.